Oh, they released the article on Sheep Esports that I wrote for. Judging autofill lost motivation, the issues with solo queue in League of Legends. Maybe let's go over this. See, did they include what I sent them? Streamers agree Riot Games could do more. Okay. Solo queue has always been at the core of the competitive League of Legends scene. I agree. Yep. So aspiring pros first start off, or they used to, but now it's a bit weird. Streamers showcase their skill and where millions of players test their limits every season, trying to hit the rank goals of Diamond Master Challenge and so on. But despite backbone League of Legends, solo queue is one of the most discussed and criticized part of the game. True. To get a better understanding of the state of solo queue, Sheep Esports has reached out to multiple Elo streamers. I'm actually curious about the thoughts of everyone here. On the experience, this pronounced Reptile curious scenarios Azzapp Phantasm Elaters. They shared both positive and negative as well as their ideas, what they'd like to see Riot Games implement. To improve solo queue, help pros, average players, and content creators still have a better experience. Sit down for 6 hours to play, 3 of those are not spent playing. Yep. This is where the big discussion started with this. Each streamer agreed that solo queue's challenge competitive spirit is alive, but fading. It's been fading for a while. A few point out that currently there exists no real incentive to try to climb to the top. Challenger outside the intrinsic draw of hitting high elo. Rewards like the Challenger backpack, which I used to send to Challengers players pre-2019, no longer exist. Some did praise the game balance and effect on climbing solo queue, arguing the game is currently one of the best balanced states ever, where everything is played with champion diversity. Azzapp stated that so many champions are viable and can be built in many different ways. Kira echoed the sentiment, calling the game very balanced overall. True. Discussing negative solo queue, the streamers agreed on many key issues. Long queue times plague the experience, especially in high elo. When players do get into games, it's often under an autofill role they didn't choose, hurting their fun and the game's quality. When it comes to high elo games where players are skilled and specialized set of roles, just 1 or 2 players assigned the autofill roles can completely break down the game balance. This many agree is purely unfun. See, this is why you should they should also do pre-bans. One of the reasons why people get a little bit spoiled, and it's a one-trick favorite system at the moment. Whereas if you had to deal a bit more randomness, people would become more robust, and eventually high elo would mean actually players are really good at most things in high elo. Regrets Laterus, 3 of those are not spent playing. Holy. Another major game delaying issue that streamers identify dodging. True! Holy shit. The others mentioned. When any of the 10 players leave the game lobby during Champs League, the queue begins again, often dragging wait times out minutes and more. Dodging and autofill are 2 connected issues as players often dodge when autofill, preferring to quit rather than play the role. This just creates a vicious cycle that leads streamers and everyday casual players alike to have definitely... I mean, this is like a problem and a fake problem. If you remove the dodging, the autofill dodging doesn't exist. So it's like, they only exist because dodging exists. And then hence people would play more when they're autofill, hence people would become more stable at their own elo at playing the things that they're not comfortable with. Just waiting to play the game. Azzapp coach him select given its mirrored issues inefficient and outdated. Yep. Riot isn't punishing grief and toxicity enough. I don't think this is true. I don't think this is true as much anymore. I feel like this is one of the major strides that Riot has done and kept getting better and better at it. For all the spamming about like toxicity and toxicity in general, like you can't really be toxic. You will get chat muted very, very quickly. And the griefing and soft hinting, we're getting much better at that. So I would disagree with this one, I guess. One major problem that becomes synonymous with League of Legends is the solo queue toxicity. This affects every elo, and the streamers we're all in agreement the Riot Games need to take more action to combat toxicity. I don't think I mentioned toxicity in this way. Right now, not enough is being done to prevent and punish bad behavior. The Riot isn't punishing griefing and toxicity enough, multiple streamers echoed. Yeah, people get chat restricted for typing GG. I think the systems are as tightly wound as you possibly can without producing like crazy counterproductive effects. Last time, minor solo queue issue some point out is elo inflation, claiming that the abundance of inflated players in Master and Grandmaster rank should lead Riot to respond and look into above a Diamond MR reset. Inflation is up and people are trying less. I agree with this. A few streamers mentioned wanted to remain anonymous in this article. No, I agree with this. I definitely agree with the inflation. Okay, think about ladder as a system that needs constant recalibration. It's like you have millions of players and the system needs to know exactly where you belong in the exact time slice of the game in which you exist. And that is an impossible task, okay? So for your elo to be perfectly accurate, you need to play infinite games. Okay? You can imagine that tending towards infinity. You got to play infinite amount of games to be at the exact elo where you belong. Now, chances are people are not going to play infinite games. In fact, chances are like very tiny minority is going to play even upwards of 1,000. as people whose game is basically a full-time job, or they're aspiring to have it as a full-time job. So mainly people are within lists. So any sort of inaccuracy there will be shown. The crack in the lens, you know, like the flaw in the ointment. There's going to be many inaccuracies within the elo where you belong. And now boosting adds to this, which was very prevalent. Cheating, i.e. scripting, used to add to this. So you have a lot of, you still have probably accounts that stopped cheating when the game got really good at detecting it, but they're still inaccurate. You have many sold accounts. You have ton of accounts, and these are all like inaccuracies that accrued over time. And the more you have them, the worse it gets. So, not to mention how the game is designed. You have many master players who are not even close to the other master players in terms of game skill and game knowledge. Precisely because of this. Not to mention, you used to be able, there was like a patch where you could duo. Not even a patch, there was like a whole ass season where people would duo in Challenger, even though you couldn't duo in Challenger. You'd have competitive, professional players dodging Diamond to Master promotions. So that would be like a loss because they dodged them. They would inflate MMR so they could duo practice in solo queue. Professional players did that. I have videos meeting against them. Right? So you had a bunch of times. This also produced inaccuracy. People would do this all the time. They would dodge to inflate RMR. So there would be higher MMR producing even more inaccuracies. So eventually one way to pull the plug here is to do a full reset. Or a Master Plus reset. I think you can do that. I think that's one of the... It will have a positive influence over time. Across the board, streamers therefore agree on the same issue. However, each of them proposed a different solution to improve solo queue fun. Desperate asks, fix queue timers. I don't know how you do this without like harming the game quality. Even now, the game quality in high elo is terrible if you get like 2 masters within Challenger game. So I don't know how queue timers will be fixed. Remove fill in high elo. See, this is like counterproductive to itself because if you remove fill in high elo, the queue timers go up, right? Like it's not consistent with itself. We make climbing more rewarding. That I agree with 100%, and that will actually attack this issue. Punish griefers by mainly reviewing games. So Reptile's attacking. Reptile's proposing something which seemingly to a user of League of Legends makes a lot of sense, but it's gonna get like thrown out of a board meeting immediately because as soon as you mention like you would need about 50 people to cover this, like the manual reviews and all that, like fuck off, get the hell out of my meeting, you know. That's like they're just imagining the cost of said endeavor and it's just not gonna happen, right? Voice should improve communication. This one is definitely a thing. I think it has more pros and cons in the game, and eventually it will be implemented. It just depending on how and in what capacity, right? Incentivize climbing with better rewards and punish clear of in-traders trolls. Okay, I think this is what they're kind of doing fairly well recently. Again, think back how many times we would see actual in-traders and griefers. Now it's a bit less, and this I agree with 100%. Okay, here's Azzapp. Remove dodging entirely, add voice shift for better team coordination, redesign champs like with pre-bans, improve the client experience. Good. I did write a full-on Bible, but that's a decent summary. That was way more. That's way more. I could share like the full-on writing. Scenarios: lower the queue times and decide if you want to be filled or not. This produces like any sort of segmentation is not good in solo queue if you do this sort of stuff. You don't want to separate people. Punishing toxicity more. I don't know how you would do that. Like you wouldn't be able to write anything. Giving something back to the community for climbing high elo, that is definitely a good take. We want that. Yeah, everyone's saying like lower the queue time. You need to like list out how, because I don't know how you would list out. How would you lower queue time? I propose like numerous actual changes. How do you lower the queue time? And again, it's in the full writings. Make drastic changes to both dodging and filling, as well as the champ select itself. See, this is one of those which I don't know what drastic means in terms of the filling. For dodging, 100% agree, and the champ select I agree, because this has very real impact on the queue times, so you can make the game healthier. We have Lati, fix the queue time and dodges with the above suggestion. Fix the staleness by adding more items in the game. I agree. There needs to be more items, and I think that's something that's echoed by Riot Games themselves. I think Riot is listening to high-elo players at all. Okay. Quality of solo queue has arguably trended downhill over the years because of these reasons and more. Pro players are taking solo queue less seriously. Many of the streamers claim, Azzapp in particular mentioned surrendering as a high impact issue. It's gone public. I swear, I did not write much about surrendering. Because everyone knows that's my stance, I didn't even write it too much about surrendering. I just mentioned his passing is like one of the key problems, and I refused to write on it because this was like a new piece. Before I look against the game culture that teaches players to give up and surrender quickly. Bro, I feel like everybody reading this article is like, this about surrendering again. But can the community ever be made not to FF15 go next? Inflation is up and players are taking solo queue less seriously, so there's no close no incentive to streamers climb. True. Many high-low streamers take representation over they see lack of communication consideration from Riot Games. I think Riot is listening to high-low players at all. I don't think that's true. Communicating a sentiment shared by many in the upper ranks of solo queue. Phantasm, I barely ever see anything from Riot addressing solo queue change or concern. Okay, so solo queue is the backbone of League of Legends, and any sort of change on the solo queue would have tremendous reverberations down the road. So you really gotta think it through when they do it. I don't think they're when they mention it, they're very careful about it, and I think they are soaking up ideas. They're just not gonna quickly do anything radical, because one wrong move on solo queue can kill the game. It's a very difficult, like, spinal surgery that if you're not precise, you fuck it up. The only thing I remember them acknowledging was the issue of being autofilled into jungle. They mentioned so much stuff. Like, if you follow Drew Levin or if you, like, follow Frogzone, Drew Levin talks a lot about theoretical concept. Frogzone explains basically every single change they go into. They're very vocal. I think we're, in a way, spoiled, because not many games interact at this level with the community, and all of this is unnecessary, by the way. The amount of respect I have for people like Riot August going to the stream and saying, yes, I'm a Riot dev, ask me anything, and he's an open book and talks to people about everything. It is insane. It's insane how he would, like, voluntarily step into the fire to do that, and he doesn't need to do that, right? Like, Riot Frogzone doesn't have to answer to random people on Twitter going on random conspiracies about a loser's queue, and yet they do. Okay, Drew did the same thing. Recently, I shared a Twitter thread. So I don't agree with that. Communication sentiments to upper rank solo queue. The only thing I remember them acknowledging, never follow up with any actual changes. I'm like, again, I don't see any real solutions to this. What is the solution to this? Not having autofill into jungle? That has many pros and cons. Again, you gotta think it through. On social media, writers will sometimes make contact about high-elo players and other members of the fan base, but the official League Partner Program has been closed for years. Yeah, that is just... League Partner Program was a failure, and I think whoever got put on it was a terribly inept, incompetent person. Whoever got put on that. I think League Partner Program essentially became, like, vessel to boost your own influence for whoever was writer who was leading it. They would invite their friends into the program. They would invite seemingly random people who even stopped making content of League, like, very quickly, or weren't making that much content in the first place. Like 50 to 20 viewer streamers that were using it to meet hot e-girls or something like that. Like, I don't fucking know. It was just entirely ignored, and it was lingering. Even now, there are still promotional packages. Like, look how inefficient this is. League Riot Partner Program has been defunct, I think since 2020, 2021 or something like that. Maybe even longer. So for like 5 years, it's been a dead project, that they're not, like, indicting new members at all. Okay? They're not making any new cool ideas with it, but the packages still keep flowing. So they have this, like, marketing department which issues packages to partners on, like, a monthly, bi-monthly, whatever, like, quarterly basis. They will send packages to people in the LPP as promotional pieces. They will send them skins on a monthly basis that they just bait people to reshare on Twitter, right? So they will give away skins. They will do this all the time, and yet nobody can get in. So the packages are flowing, and the packages usually end up on people who are no longer doing League content. Okay? Like, how do I explain this? It's like you subscribe to a YouTube channel, and in 5 years you get, like, recommended videos from them. You will move on. You have moved on. It's definitely not the correct allocation of resources. You're not putting those resources to good use. You're not giving it to people who are really for your cause and promoting League of Legends in a way. So it's really bad how this is being handled. It's terribly inefficient, and partner program needs to be reinvigorated with, like, somebody good leading it. Dual queue issue. What is this? One especially contentious topic is the queue. It's duo queue. I got asked about this, by the way, as well. Queuing up for the rank ladder with another player. Opinions are mixed. Some strongly oppose that argument leads to unfair matchups. Two random master players together have a big disadvantage. True. They can coordinate, even use voice chat. Other support for the social benefits provide every player, including streamers, as well as the content avenue it provides. It's also just a lot of fun. Most agree fun to play with friends. League of Legends solo queue remains an intense and rewarding experience for many, but it's dragged down by systemic issues. Long queue times, dodging and autofill toxicity, and poor incentives. So I guess a lot of them are kind of like... A lot of them are overlapping between the different content creators, so you can use that seeming cooperation and understanding on the same topic that they can fix it. I shouldn't be able to do it with my friend in silver because it will really ruin the rank ladder. No, I don't think it's even like a problem below master, because it's not a competitive elo, nobody cares. In master, in idealistic world, master plus idealistic world, you wouldn't want duo queue. And this is what I wrote about, by the way. You wouldn't want it because it would ruin the solo queue integrity. That being said, there's many other things that are much greater than that, like dodging, that ruins solo queue integrity in the first place. So what you're looking for is like a tiny risk versus reward. You have a tiny risk of a little bit of an inaccuracy into the solo queue with a duo queue, but you have zero social opportunities provided by Riot Games for cooperation between other streamers and people. You don't have custom game modes. You don't have ability to customize the game modes. I can't go into Arena and make it like 6-player with like different rule set that I will type in. I can't make a different tournament rule set for Arena games. Like you only get these augments, you get VelKoz, you get... I can't do that. I have zero amount of customizations available to me. I cannot make anything for my own community that's kind of creative. Other people can't do this. Riot Games is not doing any of these cooperation events, and even like the Twitch rivals completely has been halted. Like you don't see that at all anymore. And it used to be like a very fun thing that would tightly like that would give exposure to everyone. It would like be this cooperative effort to make League of Legends more palatable to people. It gotten so bad. That's why Los Ratones did a mega big thing for League of Legends community, because all of this missing, all of these features and the interaction missing from Riot Games is what led to such a big like following and support wave towards Los Ratones, because they were seemingly doing all of those things at the same time. They were revitalizing competitive they were like a bunch of streamer friends who were making very cool and fun content, which is what people need. People need that. Like, it has fallen to people to manually resuscitate this sort of content. Like, it's literally like lying on its deathbed, and people have to revive it somehow. Because Riot does nothing. They need to appoint somebody in Riot Games who's going to be really good at this, who's going to be like a coordinator and talk with the... Or not talk, but like... They will create very cool events. And yeah... I'm sad like most of my writing didn't go in here. I did write a lot, but yeah, I suppose like this is like mainly like, okay, what these are the problems, that's the problems, right? Do you agree that's the problem? Okay, I agree that's the problem. But not many like propositions on how to fix things, which I think is where the big problem is. And again, we shouldn't expect everything from Riot Games. We can also help them out by adding a little bit of ideas here and there. So I guess I'll publish like the full writing. People have been asking me even before on Twitter when Evie wrote about like me writing the whole ass Bible. So people are like, can I read this? So yeah, I'll publish the full thing, and you guys can read it if you care. Yeah, good article talking about different problems and a lot of agreement in a way. Okay, perfect. We got Drew Levin instantly responding. Curious for those who quoted the one autofill gun. In what world where we force people to queue for a priority role and kill autofill that way? Does that solve the issue, or do people really want to wait for however long to place mid top? Yeah, this is exactly the point. I agree with this. I agree with this for sure. Like, that's why autofill is like the problem, where dodging is the problem. If you remove dodging, autofill, people will have to like bite the bullet. Oh, I actually talked to Drew about that, by the way. Penalizing dodging more harshly would improve so many things. For sure. It would make like a big fucking impact. It's probably the #1 problem. I think we agreed on it. It was like a #1 problem right now. Okay, I'm posting the whole thing. Here's the whole thing, guys. Here's the whole thing I wrote. Here's the thing I wrote for the article. I'm posting it and you guys can go read it. So yeah, here you can see all my thoughts on exactly how to deal with this sort of stuff and how would you want to fix it. message was a bit too long. Sent a notepad to your email. I couldn't respond to him on Twitter. I had to go to his business email. So yeah, it's a bit of a long article. So if you go into it, make sure to... It's segmented. You can check what you care about. That's the article, by the way. That's the article for all of you who care.